What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dripping Creativity Podcast. I am your host, Chris Corvan, and today we are here with a remarkable storyteller, Christian R. Scrolls, the brilliant mind behind the debut novel, Dudesow, the Unlucky Dude. Christian's fresh release has been making waves, and if you haven't dived into his work yet, you gotta check him out. We'll be exploring everything behind Dudesow, including the release of his audiobook on Audible, as well as his next upcoming exciting work. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's dive in. Christian, why don't you tell us all a little bit about yourself?
I am currently a part-time call center rep, and part-time working in the Army, so juggling both.
Definitely. And then besides all that, you also do a little bit of writing.
Yeah, I do a little bit of writing. Just recently, actually, I started in 2020 during the pandemic, and there's a lot of free time, a lot of hours are cut. What am I going to do? I don't want to waste it on video games, watching TV. I want to get something done productive. So that's when I wrote this. You can't really see it sometimes, but I wrote Dudesow, the Unlucky Dude. I wanted to try to break as much clichés as possible, because I was reading a lot at the time, and there's always a lot of clichés. Like, what if I write a fantasy novel that kind of broke as many clichés as possible? And I had a lot of fun with it.
You know, that's the first goal of everything when I'm talking to people is just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Quit looking at analytics and numbers and all that shit and just have fun.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about the book there. Let's go a little bit into the story and the main character.
Sure. And so I got the idea of the name because it's a long-standing trope of there is a damsel in distress, and I thought, what if I kind of flip that? And I wanted to purposely find something I'd like a name to start with the letter D. And I just thought it'd be like, instead of just a name like Daniel or something, I thought, why not a somewhere more comical name? And I couldn't think of any. One day I was just browsing through some movies and I saw Dude, Where's My Car? And I was like, dude, okay, that's a good name. And then I was like, Dude in Distress, okay, that's some promise to it. And eventually I was like, kind of try to mix it up a bit with different variations, and then I got Dudesow. And that's where the name came from. He's the main character. I wanted to try something different. So the book starts off with Dudesow, and then it introduces characters slowly throughout the story, and eventually he's not the main protagonist anymore. This is essentially now a role-playing party. And what I did is once I got to the point of the book, halfway through the book, once I got all the introductions knocked out, every single encounter, every single villain or character encounter, I actually rolled the dice to see how it turned out. And I loved how everything turned out. Once I got the results, I wrote how it happened. I had the foundation set where I was like, this is how it's going to start, this is how it's going to end. I'm going to let the dice do the filler. And I had a lot of fun along the way. And so that's how I got the premise going. And so there is just a small amount of main characters. We got Dudesow, we got Carrie, we got Ari. Those are the main three. All the other characters are more side characters, but I felt like I got a lot of fun writing them.
That's honestly a fantastic way to go about writing a story. And that was actually one of the later on questions, so we'll just skip past that one when we get to it. Yeah. But no, that's extremely unique, but also an very great way to do it, because it's incorporating many facets of various things that you love, and to be able to kind of work that all together, I think that's amazing. I love that. So from doing all of that, starting there pre-COVID, as many people on this show have been, it's definitely been a common theme here. How has the journey been from the initial idea of I need to do this to actually publishing the book? What have been some kind of the challenges and rewards through it all?
I originally thought that the ending would be the most challenging part, but then I kept hearing that ending is the most challenging part. Once you knock that out, like once you know how it's going to end, it's going to be it's going to be easy from there. And so I was focused. Once I got the main characters introduced, I had the ending done before I even had the introduction of the book done. Before I even knew backstory, the climax, everything. I wanted to figure out how's this book going to end before I even start anything else. So once I got how the ending was going to be played out, I went from there. And so from there it was just easy. I just got some characters written down and I went from there. Now in regards to publishing and the main difficulties along the way before publication was life. There's work in the way, and after a 10-hour shift, like I don't feel like writing, but I had to change how I played out my day, because if I don't change how things are daily, I'm never going to finish this book. And so I would determine, okay, I gotta just swap out one task for another. So I took out, instead of watching that one show or one movie every day, that's solely going to be for writing, because I had to stay in that mentality that there's always going to be a point in the future to watch that episode. There's always going to be time later to watch that movie. But you keep pushing out the days to write, you're never going to get it done. So that was my motivation. Like, I can do any other recreational activity later. When we focus on the story, knock it out, then I can do that all later after. So, well, after that, once I got that mentality going, it was easy from there.
Excellent. Yeah, finding a specific routine just to keep your, especially with the day jobs, and then you get home, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're like, I want to relax and watch a show, but you're like, no, I gotta keep pushing, I gotta push, and it sucks. Mm-hmm. So then we have the audiobook release. Let's talk a little bit about that. When did you decide that you wanted to make an audiobook out of it?
I was originally hesitant to get audiobook done because I did a quick glance on the process. I was like, oh, this is going to be a big investment. It's going to cost a lot. So I didn't even bother looking at it. But when friends and family said, hey, I really don't have time to read your book. I'll buy it at some point and I'll get around to it. And they're like, if there was an audiobook, then I would, really just knock that out quick. And I just kept hearing that over and over, and not those exact words, but summary. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and look into the options available for an audiobook. So there was the cheapest option, which I did not like, was the AI narration. I did not like that. It sounds terrible. I don't want Siri, Alexa, whatever, reading the novel. So I passed that, because I even, I was going to be open-minded. I even bought a book with AI narration just to hear it. And I even listened through half the book just to see how it happened. I wanted to know how it expresses emotions and different tones of situation. It was just kind of flat the whole way through. I couldn't do it. I don't want my readers to experience that either. So I went ahead with another option. Like, what if there's any type of options for new writers, any cheap affordable options, and then go from there. And that's where I found ACX, which is the Audible option, where you can go through them. They have different options, and the one I went with was the Royalty Share Plus. That one is the most affordable option. It's definitely one I would recommend for first-time writers if they are short on funds. It's where you put your novel on their website, and you actually open your book up for auditions, and narrators reach out to you, and you listen to whatever they have read from your book. You choose a section, and once you select one, you then work out a royalty share agreement. One of them is if you're okay with it, you go 50-50 on the audiobook royalties until it becomes public domain. Just indefinite, basically. I went with that option. So there's nothing up front. Once the narrator's done, it's estimated to be around June 15th. Put it out there. I get 50%, he gets 50%. It's a win-win. That's
fantastic. So that actually covers everything about that. So then moving on to start talking about your upcoming projects there, because you have more coming there. What can you give us in terms of a sneak peek, and how does it kind of build on, or is it different than Dudesow?
So I wanted to try a different genre entirely. So right now I'm working on a sci-fi novel with a mother being the protagonist. I'll give a sneak peek on the story, but I don't want to give too much away. But basically, it's a whole different perspective on death. It's not going to be a sad or depressing novel. It's more of like a humorous spin on it. That's the best way to look at it. So I wanted to give more of a Terry Pratchett kind of Monty Python type humor to it. So I am working on that, and so I'm halfway done already. So I'm excited to finish it, hopefully soon. Another project I'm working on is with my friend RJ. It's work in progress. For the premise is, we like the concept of you have a tavern that's kind of down on its luck, and the competition across the street's doing better. And so they're just kind of going on quests, trying to get some more funds. It just kind of gets wacky from there. I don't want to spoil anymore, but that one's going to be a feature later on down the road, maybe a year or two, where we'll have that released. But those are the two I'm working on right now.
That is awesome. I love both concepts just from what you gave me there. Those both sound very interesting and something I'd be into. So as you were going to this with these new projects there, how have you taken, or what have you taken from Dudesow there, developing that, and then kind of making sure things go smoother this time around?
I learned from the first book. When I first started it, I was so focused on making sure I follow all the rules of writing. You must make a right draft. I must have a rough draft before you even consider doing anything else beyond that. For editing, writing, you must have an outline. You must have this big pile of mess of your whole story, how it's going to work out. I didn't want to do any of that. So what I got from that was, if it's not fun, don't do it. Like, why? It shouldn't be a job where you're not having fun doing it, because everyone has a day job. Why do another day job you're not enjoying and you're not getting paid for it? So that's where I learned, you got to find what works for you. Now is mine. It's like, I'm going to write it in any order I want, where I'm having fun. And as long as you're writing, that's what's important. Just write. And then it could be like a jigsaw puzzle after that. Put the piece together. And so I am doing that right now. I'm just have an idea in my head, write it out, save it in a separate document. I'll add it all together later. As long as I'm having fun writing, I'll get that book done.
And I can't agree with that more. I think the traditional ways of teaching writing, especially, they're great for some people, but just terrible for others. And it's more about just picking and choosing what you like and what you want to do, and then incorporating that into the whole system. Like me, I'm big on outlines. I love my outlines. I'll draft up an entire series just in outlines alone, and then go through and do random things here and there. Whereas other people just refuse. They just go, no, we're just going. And it's like, okay.
there is a time and place for that. That one's more safe, and you need that. You need a nice solid foundation if you want a nice, safe, and reliable format, especially in a timely manner. You need it at a certain deadline. That's the way to go. But when I have my way, it's more for, there is no deadline. I can take my time. That's where I feel like my way would be more ideal. Yours is definitely ideal when there's deadlines and you need some sort of set of words accomplished by a certain point. I'm just really summarizing it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, and that's it. If it works, that's all that matters. As long as you're still enjoying the process, you're still having fun, and you're still creating, man, whatever works for you, I'm down for it. So then let's talk about your process there, and actually getting into it. Like, is there a specific mentality you have to get in? Are there rituals you like to perform in order to do the creation? Do you go to a specific place?
I like to make sure I'm one of those weird people that I can't write in silence. I gotta have some loud music in the background, but it can't be a TV or show. Eventually I'll catch myself turning over and watching it. It has just loud music. It's a nice background music. Preferably I like having loud rock music in the background. And then that kind of sends me off to some weird headspace where I'm just in that zone, just typing away my thoughts, and That's just my preference. How about you? What's your preference when it comes to writing?
Oh.
You like quiet or loud music? Or
No, there's always something going on.
okay.
No matter what I'm doing, it's either music or a TV show. Usually things I've watched before.
Yeah.
I just keep on in the background. It's I need the additional voices there to keep all the other voices in my head distracted while I focus on writing. So that's how I look at it. But yeah, so that's a lot of people actually. I know more people who write with music than not. It's actually becoming very rare to see people that have to write in silence. So I think that's an interesting thing to kind of keep track of. So then, when you're developing your characters and your plot lines and all of that stuff, is there a specific method you go to do it, or is it more just kind of you're feeling out a character and just seeing where they go?
I have one thing I want to make sure I have when I write characters is something that makes the reader care. I want to make sure they either love or hate them. It has to be one or the other. If not, they're just a background character, just an NPC. But you don't want to have too many NPCs, or the reader's gonna get bored. So I want to make sure I want to make sure that the reader has impersonation of the character at a point where like I like that character, I dislike them, because if they're not memorable, why should they care? So when I write down my character's part in the book, I reread it a few times. I try to get the reader's perspective. Like, okay, what impression did they get from this character? Are they gonna look at it and say, oh, or her, he, whatever? Is this character important? Are they funny? Are they gonna leave an impression? Whatever way I can try to picture the reader's perspective. And if I feel like that character is just kind of too bland, I try to spice it up with some sort of quirk as much as I can. I believe that's pretty common, I guess, but I could be wrong.
Especially when it comes to characters, I've noticed there's not really a one size fits all when it comes to people. Like there's a lot of people who just, they know the character inside and out, and the character kind of comes to them, so they don't really think of it. And then you have others that go, I need these specific traits in this person for this specific reason, and they're all viable, and I love it. Just the process of creating characters. It's very D&D to me, where it's like, you want to go through and it's like, well, this is what I want the character to be, but by the end of the book, I don't know where they're going to end up at. Yeah. So it's an adventure, right? It's very important to just whatever works. It's like sometimes you find something. I don't know. There's a lot of people just kind of take what other people have done and then try to go, well, this is how I need to do it, and it's like you can't. You got to find your own way. You will never be the next Stephen King or whoever else. You have to be the best you. So find your own way and just make it yours. And you're doing that, and that's perfect. So let's talk about your influences, as we were just talking about Stephen King, who's one of mine. What are some of the biggest literary influences, and how do you feel they have helped shape your writing style?
Yeah, I have a few set favorites. I do like to genre hop every once in a while, so I don't get stuck in one particular genre. So I have myself read a lot of Stephen King, but Stephen King does not influence my writing style or book whatsoever. I do enjoy most of his works, but I don't feel like that genre really works with my writing style. But anyway, my authors of choice that help really influence me to write, and I find a lot of enjoyment when I listen to their audiobooks, it would be DM Gay. She writes a lot of horror comedy stories, so really fun. Pierce Anthony, a lot of punful fantasy novels there. Ailey Martinez does a lot of genre hopping. It's really fun to read. And one that's more kind of like a trippy horror sometimes is I'm gonna probably butcher the last name.
Perfect. That's
Daisy Peregrine, probably. He wrote John Dies in the End, but those are the authors I read a lot. Whenever they publish anything, I just pick it up right away.
Sometimes you just got an author where it's like, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm grabbing it first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like video games where only specific ones I'll actually bother to pre-order. Every other one I'll wait till it goes on sale.
Yeah.
But there's a couple publishers who's like, I'm buying it anyways, I don't care. So then, going back to Dudesow here, was there any personal experiences in your own life that kind of inspired any part of the book itself?
I believe it's two things. I play a lot of D&D, and I'm on Reddit all the time. And so my editor told me when they read the book is full of Monty Python type humor with a lot of shit posting and implemented throughout the story as well. So if that sounds like it's something that would interest you, that's the book. But I feel like those two things really heavily influenced the book itself.
Those are fantastic ones to pull from, actually. I'm happy with that. So then, going to your readers and your fan base and all that stuff, what has the feedback been like? Has it been encouraging in how you are approaching your further projects, or have they kind of found things where you're like, oh, I should probably work on that?
I took the feedback to heart. The one thing I got, and I forgot to bring this up earlier, was when it came time to publication, I was just so eager to get that book out there. So I hired just one editor, and I had the editor, I gave him over a month to review. I paid him, and they even gave me a list of every edit they did in the whole book. And I was like impressed. Oh, that's great. I feel like if they read the whole thing and they gave me proof that they have edited it, the book's good to go. And so the number one thing I got for feedback was spelling errors. And I was distraught, heartbreaking. This book already has physical copies out there and digital copies I can submit through online to have it updated. But physical copies out there, that's what really hurt me inside, was there's copies out there with a lot of spelling errors. So every time I got that feedback, I felt like I really let a reader down somewhere. And so once I got a month full of feedback of all spelling errors, I read the whole book again, fixing everything. Now the book should be good to go. No more spelling errors. The other thing was, in regards to feedback, was I can't really think of anything else. I feel like I really did a great job, because I can't really think of any other thing. But the beginning had some perspective issues, or first it's a little bit in first person, third person. I had to rewrite it a little bit, but now it's a lot better. But in regards to the story itself or characters, I haven't received any negative feedback yet. But you never know, any day now.
Well, it's not even about the negative; it's about the positive too. The negative stuff is all fine, especially with spelling errors and all of that. Editors are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Under any circumstance, they're expensive, and you don't always know what you're going to get. So, regardless, it's like, okay, well, I'm paying you to edit, but at the same time, I then have to go back and double check anyways. So it's finding, it's as my friend Sarah Burton there, ARC readers, beta readers, just definitely kind of getting it out there as much as possible to get that immediate feedback, because having people read the book and go, well, there's this area, you're like, shit. It hurts, man. It hurts. So I totally get that. But taking the positive stuff, with what people were saying about the characters and the story and all that, knowing that you're on the right path of how you write stories, I would assume feels pretty good when you're getting positive feedback back.
Yeah, I got some positive feedback. One of the characters that really resonated, I'm gonna say more of the female audience. They feel like they really resonate with Ari. I've got that feedback quite a bit. I was surprised. I was not expecting that. They said they really love how she seems very real. She went through a lot of hardship. She's grown from it. She got some revenge and has a happy ending at the end of the book. I got feedback from the other characters. They like them. They're funny. They love the combat because I decided to do some wacky creatures in there. One of them's on the cover here. I'll spoil it. This right here
Oh yeah.
is the it's a mutant bee. It's a bee with a goblin head. It's called a gobbly.
You know what? That's a perfect name.
Yeah.
Like no notes on that at all. Actually, it's a perfect name.
So it was a humorous thing moment in the story where the characters are running away from this creature BBG created, where it's a half mutant bee with a goblin head, and the townsfolk are running gobblies. I don't know. I found it funny when I mentally pictured it. But getting back to the point of the question is, I received a lot of good feedback in regards to the characters itself, and I feel like that's very important.
And honestly, the most important part
Yeah.
of any book. So yeah, no, nailing that is quintessential. You're
Yeah.
great. So then, just kind of rolling it back to more of yourself there. So we kind of got a glance into how you're balancing your work life with everything else. Can you think of any tips you could give someone to help maintain that kind of healthy life work balance?
I believe the answer is take a look at what you're doing every day on average. So I feel like if you could just take one part of your day and swap it for your passion, even if it's just 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, you've accomplished more in that. And you'll feel happier too. You feel like you're more accomplished if you can find something in your day that isn't worth your time. So for example, I had to cut back on social media. That includes my Reddit time, which I love Reddit, but I had to cut back drastically. So I had to do a lot of cutting back, as well as finding some time to really sneak in some of my writing. So I saw an article a while ago where there was this one author. She wrote the whole novel on her phone, and she found time to write it while in line at the store, grocery shopping. She was just typing away. And those moments where you're not doing anything, just wasting time. You can just try to sneak in some time like that, and that really inspired me. So I sometimes wrote from my phone. I tried to do voice to type on the car. That didn't work out really well. But that inspired me. Just if that can go for really anybody, is if you can just take one thing out of your day and replace it with your passion, that will make a difference, and you'll feel happier too.
That is a perfect way to put it too. That was beautiful. I loved it. Okay, so we're just coming up near the end here, so we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire questions.
Sure.
So prepare yourself, because these come fast, man. No, I'm kidding. All right. So what is, let's say, your top 4 favorite books of all time that you will always go back to reread?
That's really tough. I like Monster by A.L. Martinez. That's a great one there. I love, A Spell for a Chameleon. It's a classic there. Dragonlance Chronicles. I know that's a series, but I have to say that. I love all 3 of those books. That's 3, so right? I think that's 3. I got 2
That's
more.
good. You know
Okay.
what? No, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ebooks or physical books?
Ebooks, second choice, audiobooks.
Interesting choice.
Those are easier to take everywhere.
This is very true. Morning person or night owl when it comes to writing?
Night owl.
Okay. What is your go-to snack while you're writing?
It's gonna have to be chocolates.
What if you only had one author to read for the rest of your life, who would it be?
I believe it would be DM Gay, because I can't put those books down. They're just too funny. I never thought horror and comedy would be such a great combination, and it just works out so well.
It's so good. Describe Dudesow in 3 words.
Unpredictable, humorous adventure.
Oh, solid. Right off the dome.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was great. Where do you like to write?
At my desk in my room.
You know what? It's solid. It works.
Yeah.
What's one hobby outside of writing that you enjoy doing?
Kayaking.
Good. Really, kayaking.
I know it's.
How often do you go?
Try to go at least once a month.
Really?
I don't live next to a lake, so it's a little bit of a drive, but it's fun.
You know what? That's a fantastic way out. I love going and hiking in the mountains when I can. Yeah, but kayaking
loan your
scares
thoughts?
Oh yeah, well, got to get that emo going on. But no, it's kayaking scares the shit out of me, so that's awesome. What is the best piece of writing advice you have ever received, read, seen?
Write it down, edit later. Just don't even worry about the spelling. Even if the word looks super funky, as long as you can read it, that's what matters. You can edit it a year from now if you need to. Just don't worry about the grammar errors.
Yet again, we're coming back to the just get it done.
Yeah, just get it done.
I love it. It's so, you know what? That is seriously the one piece of advice that everybody needs to hear, and everyone seems to forget all the time, where it's just, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it done. Just do it. All right. And then the final, most important question that we are going to cover here, where can people find you?
Every social media I can think of, probably not MySpace, but everywhere else.
And what is your handle? Are they different on everyone?
I kept them the same. Christian R. Scrolls. Thankfully, it was available. I don't know. I'm surprised, but
you know what? Creative Coffee Cafe was available on most things except Twitter, so I was very shocked. I even got the domain, which was very weird.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right? Like, I was like, there's no way. Oh no, it's available. Shit.
It's yours. It's forever yours.
Exactly. So then that actually wraps us up here. We're just finishing up. So then the only thing you have left to do is say goodbye to everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me on this podcast, Chris. I appreciate it, and I will continue to be active on the Discord. I have a great time there.
And that is a wrap on today's episode of the Dripping Creativity Podcast. A massive thank you to Christian R. Scrolls for joining us and sharing all of that fascinating stuff. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. As always, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave a rating wherever you happen to be listening. Your support keeps everyone in the community going, and I am so appreciative of all of you. I've been your host, Chris Corvan. You can find me everywhere at Chris of the Void. This has been the Dripping Creativity Podcast, part of the Creative Coffee Cafe community. Remember, stay creative, stay inspired, and until next time, see ya.